In Jamaica, I find myself drawn back to the simplicity of working with my hands, and to remember where I come from. What I once thought of as transformation now feels more like a homecoming into something ancient, and something deep within me is becoming alive. There's something about being here that has been changing me in ways that I did not anticipate, almost like the land itself is slowly rewriting the way that I understand myself. And it didn't all arrive at once, but it's still unfolding, the kind that you don't always notice while it's happening until you look back and you realize that you're not quite the same person who first arrived. Lately, I've been feeling a pull toward something very simple and very ancient at the same time. And I've been wanting to do more manual labor, to be closer to the physical pace of life, to use my hands in work that feels honest and grounding. And I get that from when I garden and work with my animals mostly. And it's interesting because it doesn't feel like a random desire. It feels like remembering. It feels like something in me recognizes this kind of work, almost as if my body is responding to a lineage that I carry, but didn't always know how to name it. And I think a lot about my ancestors while I'm here, particularly those who were farmers. My Aunt Dolly was telling me that our people were farmers, those who worked the land not as an idea, but just as a way of survival, of connection. That's how they lived. And I find myself wanting to understand them, not just intellectually or emotionally, but physically, through effort, through sweat, through presence. Not to recreate their struggle, but to honor and respect the reality that they lived one with the earth in a way that feels distant in modern life. There's something real spiritual about that, something that speaks to a kind of wholeness that I didn't realize that I was missing. And being here has a way of bringing all that closer. The climate, the land, it all invites a different kind of attention. You can't really move through it disconnected. You're either present or you're reminded again and again to come back into presence. And I've noticed that the more I allow myself to slow down, the more I begin to feel this quiet desire to participate in life in a more tactile way, not just think and plan, but to do, to build, to tend, and engage directly with the world around me and the land. And there's something about physical labor that feels like it clears space in the mind and settles more deeply in the body. It's not just about activity, it's alignment. It's about feeling useful in a way that is not abstract, but immediate. Part of what I'm discovering here is that I've been longing for that kind of grounding more than I realized. At the same time, I find myself reflecting on how transformation doesn't always come in the ways that we expect. I used to think growth would look like expansion in the traditional sense, more structure, more achievement, more external validation of becoming. But what I'm experiencing now feels more like a return than an expansion. Like it's a stripping away of what is unnecessary. Things are unraveling that were never really rooted in who I am at the core. In that space of simplicity, something else begins to emerge, like a deeper awareness in my body, more patience in my spirit. Even a different relationship with time itself, where I no longer feel as compelled to rush through anything, but I just feel invited to just be. When I think about the woman I've always dreamed of becoming, she doesn't feel far away anymore. She doesn't feel like someone I have to chase. She feels like someone I am remembering through lived experience, through presence, through being willing to engage with life in its most honest forms. And in that sense, this place is not changing me into someone else, but it's revealing who I've been beneath everything that was never truly mine to carry. So I move through this experience with reverence now, even in small things, even in the desire to work with my hands. Sorry about my dogs. I want to feel the earth, to be exhausted in a way that feels earned and real. I can sense that this is not just a phase or a passing curiosity. It's something deeper unfolding in me, something that is reconnecting me to a part of myself that has always been there, waiting for me to slow down enough to notice it. And I guess that's what this chapter of my life really is, not escaping from who I was, but this is just a reminder to return to something more honest, more grounded, and more whole than I ever knew I was allowed to be. And also, I really think my father, being from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, has really brought me back here as well. I always wondered what it would be like to, live a Caribbean lifestyle and to have island ways. Even when I was young, I was completely obsessed with island culture. And I didn't know why, because at that time I didn't know my father. So to me, not only is this experience exactly what I stated before, but it is a honoring and remembering of my people who came before me. And I'm grateful to them. Thank you for listening. Love, health, and wealth. Peace.